It says live again. Live video.
Oh, here we go. We're good now.
All right.
Oh.
Got it. Cool. Thanks. Good catch.
Oh, here we... Okay, there we are. All right. Okie dokie. Oh, there's my friend.
The broadcast has been paused. Should resume. Okay, now we're good.
It could be the internet.
Now it's interrupted
Yeah.
again.
All right, we'll just do our best. If it goes in and out, it goes in and out. All right, welcome everybody. This is our final PTO meeting for the year. We're very excited to start summer vacation, and then also again to start planning for next year. I'm going to give it over to Katya with the minutes.
Hi, hope everyone can hear me now that we're outside, but I'm loud. It'll be fine. So our last meeting was April 14th, and we started our meeting with the treasurer's report by Rebecca. Our opening balance was $21,863.89, and our ending balance was $33,853.31. Topics discussed. Our new business was the picnic tables. We had at that time purchased 4 tables and 2 umbrellas, and Mr. Durr and the grounds crew were going to be in charge of setting them up, taking them down, storing them, etc. Teacher appreciation was held May 6th at Peters and May 4th at Slatington. I feel like that's not right.
Yeah,
It is.
We had to
No.
change slating to
Oh, yeah.
7th.
That's right. No, I don't think it was May 4th. Anyway, it was catered to comply with COVID guidelines with individual beverages, and each teacher also received a gift of various desk supplies. The 6th grade picnic that is supposed to be happening, and the PTO will be providing pizza, cupcakes, snack bags, water, etc. For their half-day event, which will be held at Ski Club. End of the year, the principals would like to do something for the students. The bounce house was not an option this year because of COVID. We discussed doing desserts or treats or something like that as an alternative. The friendship bench. Teachers at Peters had requested a bench for recess for students to sit on who were looking for someone to play with. Ideas like this have been floating around online. That's what they were specifically talking about. Amber had looked into benches, however, they are very costly. So we discussed some potential alternatives, perhaps a friendship circle, where other activities can happen while they wait to keep them occupied. Next year, we discussed meeting additional volunteers, help, new ideas, anything. That's still accurate. Our old business was the book club. That event had not been very successful, but we decided that those who did participate had enjoyed it. So we decided to try again next year in person if allowed. However, just at Slatington and not at Peters to avoid the requirement for parent involvement in the reading of the book. Our food truck night, we had made the decision to cancel that event due to lack of trucks and vendors. 501c3 and taxes, we were still waiting on a little bit of paperwork, otherwise everything was complete. Accounting software will be purchased at the end of June to begin our new fiscal year. Boosterthon, we also canceled this event due to COVID restrictions. They will be holding our deposit until we are able to hold another event. Our open discussion was the personal care items that will be going home in the backpacks with the food program. And we decided to create an Amazon wish list and allow for the community to support that program in that way. In-school activities for next year were discussed. We revisited the idea to have socials at Slatington and a Valentine's dance for Peters. Of course, this is all up in the air based on whether or not we're allowed. That was about it. So now I will turn it over to Rebecca. She can give you our monthly treasurer's report.
Hello. We started our bank balance on April 1st at $33,853.31. We did not have any income or deposits in April. We did have fundraising expenses for Gertrude Hawk, $3,754.82. We spent $750.36 at both Peters and Slatington. That was for 2 picnic tables at each school and an umbrella. Did that come with an umbrella base too?
Mm-hmm.
And an umbrella base at both schools. We took the funds from our Make Peters Pop and the Zen Den at Slatington, since we just couldn't do it this year, and we put it towards the picnic tables and the umbrellas. And the teachers are really appreciative. We know for a fact that when we had teacher appreciation on May 7th, some of the teachers were like, we're going out to eat our lunch outside. Teacher appreciation, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So teacher appreciation for this year was $2,800.73. That included catered meals at both schools from Panera Bread, and the supplies that we purchased through Amazon and at Staples. We had $6.36 in general expenses. That was for our Google domain. And we also purchased a gift card, a giant gift card for Andrew Kabrick, our accountant, as a thank you for all the help that he has given us this year. So our total expenses were $8,166.65. All of the expenses that I read were through May 11th, since this is our last meeting of the year, and we felt that it was important to include what we spent on teacher appreciation. So our ending cash balance on May 11th was $25,686.66.
Okay. On to the agenda for today. First up is the 6th grade picnic. We are indeed having that. The picnic will be held on June 8th. It will be a half-day picnic. The PTO will be supplying pizza, cupcakes, water, and some supplies for this event. I did also get reached out to by one of the teachers if we would be willing to supply eggs. They're looking for 90 eggs, just raw eggs, for an activity that they're doing. That's not something we ever did in the past, so I figured, no.
I mean, the eggs are not going to be eaten?
No.
I feel like we can go to the huckster and buy 90
Yes,
eggs.
we definitely can. No,
I feel like that's not going to cost a whole lot of
it's
money.
not at all. But I just,
Yes.
know. Okay. End of the year, we will be hosting a Rita's Day for the students. It will take place during the school hours. For Peters, it's going to be on June 7th, and for Slatington, June 11th. I also did talk to the principals. They are going to allow all virtual and Bulldog Academy students to come to this event. We will need to set up a time, though, for these children that are coming, that would be able to come from, with their parents that day. So look for something from either us or the school about getting your child in if they'd like to participate in Rita's Day. And then on that note, we have to decide on 4 flavors of ice. From Rita's. I have some ideas in my mind. And then Rita's will be able to, if needed, give us sugar-free ice and also dye-free ice. I do know for a fact one school has no sugar-free, so lemon would be the only option for dye-free.
So maybe include that as one of them.
I personally don't like lemon, and I don't know if that's like a kid flavor.
I don't know. I feel like lemon's a relatively popular flavor.
I like
Okay.
lemon.
Yeah.
And mango.
Guess I'm getting
Some
Strawberry.
one of the reds.
Yeah.
And
maybe
they
blue.
love blue
Blue.
stuff.
Like
Yeah.
it.
Kids
I like
love everything
Candy
they
and
have
blue
that.
raspberry.
Well, I thought like for the girls they have a unicorn flavor. I thought that they'd be like, ooh.
It probably
is
tastes
that?
like cotton candy.
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
And it's
And
probably
then-
some hideous color that nobody likes.
I also thought Swedish fish. That's a popular kid flavor. I know.
Yeah.
That's red, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like as red as
Yeah.
it comes.
We just had
I
it the
just know
other
a lot
day.
like mango too, like
Yeah.
Doritos, but
Yeah. So we have time to decide on the flavors. It's just
Right.
keep it open. Ideas. Anywho, next topic is Bulldogs Give Back. We were able to help all book bag buddies families this month with the help from our community. So we thank everyone who donated supplies. Rebecca is going to continue to work on this project. She had approached me about possibly going to the bigger chains to see if they'd be willing to donate it. I told her that I couldn't make that decision, that we would have to talk about it. If it's something that, we want to pursue and keep doing monthly for those students who get assistance from the school.
Do you want?
Yeah, go ahead.
So okay, so I feel like it doesn't hurt to ask. The worst they can say is no. I can continue to ask them every single month. I think there are some local groups or local stores that probably have budgets for it. That is the Facebook news that we hear on like the PTO Today Facebook page, is that reaching out to these larger chains, a lot of them do have like community budgets where they can give donations. And I mean, we did really, really well. I was so thankful for everything that everybody sent in. I think we did like 27 kits altogether. I'm still getting donations in, which is great because I have 500 toothbrushes, but I still need like deodorants and shampoos, and those are the ones that are slightly more expensive. So if I can get them from Walmart or Giant or Weiss or whoever, it lessens it means I don't have to ask the community for as much. So I think we should go for it. The worst they can say is no.
Okay.
So, do we know, do we have an idea of like a total that we would need for the beginning of next school year?
Not yet. I talked to Donna Marks. They are continuing the Backpack Buddies program through the summer, which is something that when we first talked about this, they weren't sure of yet.
Okay.
So it is continuing through the summer. She said that when we first did it, it was like a couple hundred kits that were going out. And then as things changed throughout the last couple years with COVID, she said at maximum right now there's about 40 families, give or take.
I think it was right around 34.
Yeah, it was like 34. So, I'd rather provide a little bit too much than not enough.
Right. I'm just wondering if there's a way to collect large amounts of this in advance so it's something you don't have to deal with on a monthly basis.
Either way, I will be doing something on a monthly basis because I'm packing kits and I'm dropping them off at the school. Because they don't have we were just in the room on Friday. They don't really have that much room to hold items in the hundreds. I do. I can. It drives my husband crazy, but I can. I can do it. And my kids helped pack up the bags, and they were like, "Oh, we're helping mommy with PTO stuff." So, I have the ability to pack it up and just drop it off once a month.
Right. Okay. And what is this costing the PTO anything at this point?
The PTO has not paid for anything.
Okay.
In fact, I am using the gallon bags that we had left over from the Christmas gifts to pack up the kits that I already have. I think we have one.
And I found another, I think 1 or 2 boxes.
Yeah,
in my
so
bag.
it
So
has-
in theory, just gallon bags.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because, for purposes of what this actually, all entails.
Yeah, it hasn't cost us anything
Right.
at all right now.
Do we plan on using PTO funds to supplement missing items?
I feel like that would I think it would have to be on a case by, like a
Okay.
month by month basis, and it's gonna have to be like approved and
Right,
budgeted
okay.
for. And there are other ways of getting stuff donated.
Right.
Now that we have all of our IRS stuff in, I can actually go and
It
start.
simplifies the process.
I can start actually applying for the companies that actually do this because I have this proof from the IRS that we are
Right.
a nonprofit, that we are tax exempt.
Okay.
So I would like to say that I would hope not, because the community has been really awesome about it. So
Okay, moving on. Field trips. As of now, it looks like we will be able to do field trips next year. We will be needing to go over our budget and fundraising for this to be able to happen. As of right now, when I did speak to the principals, they are really trying to be able to do field trips next year as long as all field trips are outside. And I think as of right now, we only have 2 grades who do inside field trips. So they would have to figure out another
Everyone's coming to Eagle's Nest.
another place to go. So basically on our end, on the PTO board end, we just need to go through the numbers, see how much it's going to cost for each field trip, and then see what we can do.
and some of the
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say some of the field trips did have deposits put down on them in 2019 in anticipation of spring 2020 field trips. So I think we would just have to reach out to those. I think it's only 2. We would just have to reach out to those facilities and ask if our deposit was voided or if they held it over or what. So it's very possible that we already have deposits down for 2 grades.
Did we ever figure out what the deal is with that budget point in the school board for busing for field trips?
I did. I got a phone. I emailed the manager, Militoris, I think her last name.
Militoris,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I emailed her directly and asked her, since the budget is going to be voted on soon, is there a budget item for the school district to provide transportation for field trips? And she wrote me back and said that the school district does not pay for busing for field trips. And the PTO has always sponsored all aspects of the field trip, transportation, everything. Like
So why is it in their minutes as a budget item?
where was that? I couldn't find that one.
Where it talked about, we found it right after our last meeting, where it talked about budgeting for field trip transportation needs to be requested in the budget request by the school principals. Like it implied.
Oh, yeah.
It implied that if they requested it, that it would be.
Was that in the minutes or was it in the that policy guide?
It was
that
in
they
their
had?
policies.
Okay. So maybe it is up for a revisit. At that point, I just
I'm
was
just curious if we figured it out.
At this point, it's we got our answer for now.
I wonder who pays for them at the middle school and high school though, because they don't have a PTO.
No, they probably do boosters, right? Or stuff.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, because we didn't do anything this year at all. Because I know Elizabeth said that they were supposed to go to New York in 7th grade, but because of it, they couldn't
Right.
go. But we don't have a PTO to be able to, I don't know if they parents pay like a whatever.
What happened to that 60-mile rule? Like, there's a 60-mile.
No, I think that's because for elementary.
Oh.
Because I know one year the Nevaeh was supposed to go to Washington D.C.
Oh, okay.
Once you get to like the higher grades, the trips are different.
Oh, okay.
But they also don't do
Darn.
as many of them. Like,
Yeah.
it's more like a school trip. It's not like your class field trip
Yeah.
per se. Okay. So, this is something we kind of have to have worked out well before the start of the school year.
Yeah.
Right.
And both the principals did get back to us.
Okay.
And like say we're talking about this, we put it out to the teachers. Mr. Pine did say something about is it 3rd grade that goes to Parkland? Or is that 2nd grade? One of the schools fourth grade. One of the schools goes to Parkland
I forgot.
One of the grades goes to Parkland for like their spring play or whatever that the high school does.
I think that was 2nd or 3rd because Adrian went.
Yeah. So
but I don't remember if it was spring of 3rd grade, like before the world shut down, or if it was fall of 2nd grade.
yeah. So they went to that, and if it's indoors, then there's a possibility we can't do it. So it's definitely worth like a follow-up email to the principals to ask them how it's going.
Okay. Moving on. Fundraising. We are looking for new and exciting ideas for next year. We will continue always with Gertrude Hawk because we benefit very well from them. And possibly, with COVID, we will do Boosterthon. It's something us as a team need to start brainstorming, and if anyone in the community has ideas for us, we will gladly look into their ideas also. I do know Rebecca looked into one. It's called Raise Craze. I told her that we would talk about it today because I personally, I'm not against it, but I don't feel like we should be doing a Boosterthon and a Raise Craze because I feel like they're conflicting.
So what is Raise Craze?
Raise Craze is a fundraising platform that's very similar to Boosterthon in that the community can donate online.
Okay.
But there is no like pledge per se. Like for Boosterthon, it was like however many laps you run.
Right.
This one is for acts of kindness. So, and they give back 90%. Just glancing at it though, it looks like we would have to do more work than we would have to do for Boosterthon, which we get 50% back for. So maybe that evens out and like, okay, we don't have to do as much. We don't have a ton of volunteers. We would need more volunteers to run something like this. I think that for 90%, we could at least look into it and find out what it entails.
And I'm totally for it. I feel like if we would do it, we would have to do it like a year we weren't doing Boosterthon.
Right.
I just think,
well, and maybe that's a good alternative if, regulations for next year make Boosterthon entirely too complicated again. Because, I think we all really liked the way the Boosterthon fundraiser worked, but, we had to cancel for this year completely because it was just entirely too complicated.
right.
So this looks like something, like if it's for acts of kindness, those don't need to be in-person kind of things necessarily.
No, and from what I've seen, it's like, it is like going to clean up like litter at the park, things like that.
Okay.
But it's also it's also supposed to be things like inviting someone that you haven't eaten lunch with before to come sit with you.
Right, like
at lunch.
simple. There's like simple things as well.
Right. The only other thing I did not like about Raise Craze was it's through email. That's how you get your donations.
Oh.
I don't know anyone's email.
I wonder though if they like Boosterthon, they had the option to share information online,
Right.
so that you don't actually have to know people's email addresses. Because I'm pretty sure when I did Mason's, I just did I think I just sent I made sure that my mom saw my Facebook post.
Right.
So
And that's what we did too. Everything for Booster was through Facebook.
So if that's an option, that would eliminate that issue.
I know it didn't make a huge amount of money per se, but I felt like Sweet Fundraising Solutions was one that we can totally revisit because he was great to work with.
Yes, absolutely.
It was not a difficult fundraiser, and it did better than we expected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I thought those prizes were pretty clutch.
Yeah.
Like those drawstring backpacks were nice, good quality, like.
Right.
Is that the one with the cheesecakes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
The only thing I have with that is like every single sport my kid plays, it's the same fundraisers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like my family was like, no, we already
Again.
have a cheesecake in our freezer. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So it's like that's the only.
Well, when we did it in the fall, we knew what soccer was using, and we tried to pick the opposite ones.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, I do like a lot of the soccer uses it.
Yeah. And they did it for basketball.
And well, yeah, because the same people run soccer.
Right.
And basketball.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 times in a year. It's
Yeah.
the same one.
Yeah, I think spring soccer did cheesecakes, I think.
Yeah.
Because they did it as like a,
They did cheesecakes and candles.
Yeah.
for Mother's Day.
They do, well, soccer typically does the candles and the cheesecakes, and then they do like one other one.
They have cookies, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did the snacks and stuff and the cookie. The cookies overlapped.
Yeah.
But I think it's one to we don't necessarily have to do it at the same time again. But it's it was a super easy fundraiser to do.
Yeah.
I do have on my notes for a fundraiser was flowers. There's a couple options I know of through friends who do it. My one friend did. You get like a card. It's through Dan Shantz. I don't know how it works, but for each month, you say for like Easter, you would get like Easter flowers. For Christmas, you would get poinsettia. For Halloween time, it's a pumpkin.
So you buy the cards,
Right,
and then
and then
you
that
use
month
them
you
whenever
go-
you want.
Right, but no, that month only. So
Right.
you can go one time in April and get whatever it is on the card for April.
Right, but like you can, when you do the fundraiser, you can buy cards for every month in theory if you wanted to, right? And then you.
Or does the card?
No, it's one
covers
card for
all
1 year.
1 year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then you get a different flower every month.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I also know band for high school or whatever does mom, so I wouldn't want to step on their toes. But there's also spring flowers. You can get you can even get the flowers or get a voucher to get flowers.
We had I ordered from someone's kid who was local. They sold flowers a few years ago for Christmas. And they had like the Christmas cactuses, poinsettias. They were really nice plants. Like, I don't know where they weren't ridiculously expensive either, but like my Christmas cactus is still alive, and it takes a lot to survive in my house as a plant.
Same.
Like they just quietly die. They don't yell at you when they need something. So yeah.
It's something that I thought we could definitely at least look into, different options.
I know somebody who has done the moms, but I think she also does. I feel like she does something else. I think maybe it's poinsettias. Like she heads up the fundraising for her organization. I could ask her.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's something just a
Another thing
different-
to talk about
different
is,
idea.
are we doing something for Christmas that would serve as a fundraiser? Like when we did the holiday shop. It was never a huge fundraiser, but it did bring in some money. Because if we're going to bring some sort of activity like that back, we need to kind of calculate that in too.
Yeah, I figured we could talk about that at our
Planning meeting?
executive board
Okay.
planning meeting. Okay, moving on.
Is anyone watching this?
No,
No.
mine froze. So
Mine shut down.
yeah, so I don't know. It says 2, but I don't think it's 2.
Michelle is watching.
Michelle.
Michelle Horn is watching. It says.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Michelle.
Well, if anyone out there has any ideas, like I know a lot of you, do fundraising for jobs or other organizations or things like that. If you have something that you've had a lot of success with, we need to kind of replace big money fundraising, because if we're not able to do Booster-thon,
We're not gonna be able to do field trips.
we can't. Field trips cost an astronomical amount of money. And I mean, we have a decent amount to carry over in our budget, but it's not going to cover a year's worth of field trips. And there's other stuff that we have to pay for as well. So, like, if you have any sort of experience with anything, like, throw it at us. We'll look at it and see if it's something that we can make happen.
I mean, and I also know a lot of my friends, and I know it's repetitive, but everyone does, like, independent sales. Like, I know my friends are always asking me for fundraising for, like, their personal businesses. I mean, that's even something we could throw out. Like, 31, I know, does the utility totes.
Right.
Maybe we could do just one item, not the actual whole book. Or we can do, like, I know, like Sensi, you know, there's so many.
So for baseball one year, we did a 31 raffle, the same as what your preschool did.
Yes,
and that was very successful.
Yes, it was.
It's not going to bring in the kind of money, though, that Booster's on brings in.
Right, but it's like if we do a lot of little ones too, I mean...
The only problem with a lot of little ones is that eventually people get, like, tired of doing the fundraisers. Especially if you have kids that are in a daycare that does a fundraiser and sports that do fundraisers. And it's like every other week you're hitting up your neighbors for something.
Right. But then if it gives people options, say, hey, yeah, I don't want to do this fundraiser, but yeah, I'll do this one. And they don't have to worry about asking. I
think if we did something like that where we did kind of smaller ones where people would know, okay, well, next month we're doing this and that's interesting. We kind of have to remove incentivization for children.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We can't incentivize the kids.
I mean, as a mom who has tons of, like, teeny tiny incentive things all over her house, I'm totally fine with that.
I mean, I'm fine with, like, the big ones that we know will bring in money, having an incentive. Like Gertrude Hawk, Sweet Fundraising, and Boosterthon, they all brought in a good chunk of money, and I'm fine with the incentive for that. But if we're just going to do, like, some little ones, there's not going to be an incentive for kids.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not.
Because that's just, especially if, like, for somebody like me, I don't like fundraising, so I just do the big ones. My kid's going to be like, oh, so and so got a prize for doing this, 31, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would see is, like, celebrating as the class, like, say Mrs. Cannon's class sold 30 kids sold, and maybe
so they get, like, ice cream.
Yeah, but not individually.
We did a pizza party for something like that.
For Boosterthon, yeah.
Yeah, for the women class got a pizza party.
Yeah.
I think have we done that for box tops before too?
Maybe.
I wasn't involved with box tops, but I know they did stuff. I was never.
So, okay. I mean, I guess this is stuff we kind of have to figure out, like, through the course of the summer, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give us ideas.
Yeah, that's basically how I'm ending my new business is, the year's coming to an end, fresh ideas. We really need parent support. Please reach out to us if you're willing to help. So now we'll go on to the old business. Teacher staff appreciation. This was a huge hit by both schools. Everyone enjoyed the Panera Bread lunch. They walked into that lounge and were just flabbergasted on the support we gave them with this, is the word, I guess.
Yeah.
They were
like, oh, this is so nice. And Panera did a really good job.
Yes.
Like, I don't think there were any mistakes at all. Like, we had everything we needed. But
yeah, it came in a nice box. It was like a 4x6 or 4x8 box with either a salad or a sandwich, a cookie, a pickle, a bread,
and like
chips, and then everyone got a fruit cup. And then, with the refrigerator, when they opened the refrigerator to see it filled with drinks, they were like, "Are you serious? This is for us?" Like they were beyond happy.
Yeah. Everybody really liked sparkling waters too.
Yeah,
you had bubblies.
And the coffee.
Sparkling waters.
There's Starbucks. The Starbucks
When you're trying to be healthy, but nothing has flavor, sparkling water.
Yeah, they really enjoyed it.
Okay, so that is something that we would possibly like to keep doing, is having lunch catered. It really was easy on our part.
I feel like it was so much less work
Right.
than in the
We
past.
don't have to reach out to 30 parents saying, "Hey, can you make this? Can you make that?" and hoping that they remember to make it, and we're not like sitting there that day thinking, are we going to have enough food? This was just, it worked out great.
What was the budget difference? Like, how much more did we actually end up spending than we had budgeted?
I can tell.
Because I know we went a little bit over.
Yeah, we did go over. Let me see. Where do I need to go into?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't want my Google Drive. I want.
Because I would definitely prefer to have it catered. I'm just curious as to what the difference in cost really
So,
is.
where did I put it? No, that's not it. I need. Here we go. Okay, so I think what we discussed last month was we were going to take the funding for. Oh, here it is. We're going to take the funding for the picnic tables
From the Zen
Zendens
Yes.
and the Peters Pop. At the time, we had $1,200 in each fund. We only spent $750
Okay.
for each school. So then we took the leftover money from that. We applied it to teacher appreciation because our budget was $2,000 for the entire year originally. So, and that was for all staff appreciation. And a big chunk of that last year was for the Amazon gift cards that we sent everybody. So, I would say we took the leftover money from COVID relief, which I have in here somewhere. We took the extra money. We did not take the extra money from the Zenden and Peters. We could. We were over budget by $344.14
But the
for the
leftover
year.
money from COVID relief.
We could use that.
Okay. So really, we're talking about $300.
Yeah, that's all I took. All I took was
That's
the
fine.
money from COVID relief. I did not take money from Zenden or Make Peters Pop to cover
Right.
that budget item.
I think $300 can easily be made up.
Yeah, and that
Like,
it doesn't include any of the rest of the staff appreciation. That'll put us like another $100 over budget.
But
But-
we're $750 under for other stuff. So okay.
So we're good. The funds is there.
I say we cater the crap out of this forever.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that.
Because there's also it's a huge thing to ask parents to bring things, and then we ran into the problem a couple years ago. I didn't have any kids at Slatington, but Slatington didn't have enough food donations, so now I'm making food for Slatington.
Right, and then last year we actually had to go out and buy stuff at Giant because we didn't have enough food. We went and bought sandwiches, and so we're using our money anyways when we're asking people to help us.
Well, and I think that it also gives us the opportunity to switch it up in future years, different places or different things, and it's still not extra work for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, there's not that many of us.
Moving on, the 501c and taxes paperwork finally has arrived. Rebecca will be contacting the bank to set up the next steps, and she will be working on all of our taxes by the end of June, early July.
Well, I can't file until after July 1st.
Okay, right.
So
my goal is to start working on it.
Yeah, my goal is to have it done by July 31st.
I think it's a June 30th. That's okay.
Well, June 30th is the end of our fiscal year.
Okay.
So I can't file until July 1st. I did stop into the bank when I made those deposits, and I told them here's the issue, and I'm still waiting for a phone call back because she said she'd call. I'm going to call her again probably Monday. I'm not going to do it today, and just ask what the update is.
Okay. Again, accounting software, it'll be purchased this month for the new fiscal year in July. Friendship bench, it was asked by teachers at Peters for a playground bench. There were many students who didn't have friends to play with. This would help with them making new friends. Like Katya said, it's costly, and we're figuring out different ideas. Coming back to that, in one of our messages, we didn't really discuss it. You kind of just said the board approved something about outside
Yes, the school,
the committee meeting.
yeah, the, I forget which committee it was.
Education and grounds.
Maybe.
Probably.
They are looking into getting, like those, like the tents that you see outside of restaurants right now, like the big white ones with the windows that are permanent, that are up all the time, at both the middle school and I think Slatington. And it's coming out of our Esser's fund, so I'm glad that we did not put out money for outdoor space, because the school board.
And then what are they using these tents for?
They can use it for pretty much anything. They can use it for outdoor learning space. There was a thought that maybe it could be used in the for the cafeteria if they need to, instead of having kids in the hallways and in the library. They can expand.
They truly
outside.
do have kids in the hallways too.
Yeah, I heard all about this
because we were there and witnessed it.
So, yeah, I almost want to be like, I don't want to put out any money that could be something that's COVID related.
Right.
Because the school board has this
Right.
grant money that has to be spent. And I know they have their own ideas, but I think it would just be worth it to pay attention to what they are planning on spending the money on, so that we don't go and.
Right.
I mean, I was in
So,
that.
I mean, that's completely separate from a friendship bench, though. Like,
Yes.
that would
Yeah.
not...
But I just wanted to make see what that was all about.
What cost are you thinking?
The friendship bench? I don't know.
They were a couple $100.
They're,
Yeah,
like,
for the official one, right? Is
Well,
that what
like,
you're talking
okay.
about?
any
Okay.
kind of...
Unfinished
So you
one?
see that one over there? It's nicer than that one. Like it's the resin.
It's like this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, they were.
Well, that table over there is $1,100. That one that's right over there by the playset. I looked it up.
So what if, instead of a bench, we did more, like we talked about last week, or last meeting, and like obviously it doesn't need to be like anything huge and elaborate, but of course we went and donated all that paint. But what if we did like a friendship area, where like if you are in this area, that means you're looking for someone to play with. But while in that area, they could maybe have like a jump rope or some sidewalk chalk. So you're not just sitting there awkwardly. At the same time, like everybody knows that's the friendship area. And if somebody's in there, it means they would rather play with other kids. Like, I don't know, because I feel like just sitting there on a bench.
I know.
Too,
I feel
then it's
like we
almost
really
like-
need to visit this with Mr. Schneiderite and see what we could figure
Right.
out, because
I mean, they only have 20 minutes of
Yeah.
recess, and if you sit down on the bench waiting for someone to play with and nobody comes and plays with you, now you've spent your whole recess sitting on a bench.
Don't they have a whole period?
I think recess is like 20 minutes long. It's not very long. That's a different topic.
Oh, I know. Mason's
Yes.
missing out on 10 minutes today because because it's May and he's in second grade.
Yeah, no, they don't have, recess is not very long.
Oh.
Now, I know that a lot of teachers, especially at the kindergarten level, give extra recess. They, arrange for doing things outdoors, yada, yada. But their official recess period, I don't think is super long. And if they're sitting there on the bench waiting for somebody to play with them that whole time,
Yeah. That's a long time.
yeah. So, yeah, maybe that's something that we need to kind of talk to Mr. Schneider about. And maybe also the teachers, because, the idea was given by a teacher, but maybe if they kind of discuss it, think about it, somebody will come up with something that might be more beneficial or might make more sense to everyone. There was a rumor that they're fixing Peter's playground.
Yes. That is
That was
also
on the board meeting. I heard
with
that.
the Esser's grant. They're hoping to see if they
Okay.
can find it under the Esser's grant.
So Peters is getting a new playground and Slatington is getting a tent. Okay. But going back to that outdoor classroom seating stuff, maybe that is something that we could have a very specific fundraiser for. That might motivate the community to specifically participate in that fundraiser.
What would we be fundraising for, though? Because we're not going to pay for the actual space. We're not going to pay for the tent.
Well, right, but Peters isn't getting a tent, right?
Right now, they don't.
Yeah.
They haven't figured out where they could even put a tent at Peters.
But maybe it's not a tent. Maybe it's like,
Seating.
yeah. So like when I
outdoor.
when I was looking into like outdoor classroom stuff, there are like, I don't know what material they're made out of, but like little like pod seats. Like you put it down, you sit on it, but they can also be like moved and put indoors easily. Things like that, but they're all ridiculously expensive because you can charge a ton of money as soon as it's for a school. So like maybe something like that where it's super flexible. It could even theoretically be used within the school building.
We did have teachers ask for flexible seating.
Right.
So.
But it can be, taken outside and everybody can sit under the tree for story time without having to sit on the, or like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but maybe that's something that we have a very specific fundraiser for, like, hey, come out on this and this day to a basket raffle. We are raising funds for flexible seating for the school that will be used for yada, yada, yada. Where, like, so that's something that people, that's a really good reason to donate my time and money. Like,
I think that now that you say that, I wouldn't mind doing that for all of our fundraisers. Like, okay, so the Booster-thon one that we did 2 years ago, we're carrying that over. I mean, it really has funded us through the entire year and into next year. Like, if we can set aside, hey, by the way, we're doing this Booster-thon in the fall so that we can go on field trips in the spring. Like, I don't think it would be a bad idea. Like, we're doing sweet fundraising to do for Christmas gifts, like things like that.
Right.
Because people do want to know, like, what they're fundraising.
Oh, absolutely.
And everybody else, like, does, like, the older kids, they do fundraisers for their, like,
Right.
the seniors. Like, they raise $10,000 for, for their class, and they can use it on certain things. Well, we did fundraisers for that. And everybody knows it's for the senior class.
right. I can't.
He can use those. Those are mine.
So, that just an idea. Like when we have like a big ticket item like that, especially that's not a normal thing that we're paying for anyway, per se, it might be more motivating to the community to
Yeah.
be very specific about it.
I'm on now. No messages. Okay, we're on to open discussion. I don't really have anything today to talk about. Rebecca?
I wanted to give an update for the Gertrude Hawk fundraiser because I didn't have a number at our last meeting. We did $16,607.50 in sales for Gertrude Hawk, and not including like however much money it cost us to overnight the paperwork to them. Our gross profit for Gertrude Hawk was $8,303.75.
How much was it?
$8303.75. I was thinking about communications with parents next year, and
no,
wait.
I had that. Didn't I have that on the?
No.
Oh,
It's
I
not
could.
on there.
I could have swore I had about the. All right, never mind the directory. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, the directory.
I had that on my
I
thing
thought
here.
I put it on the. I thought I
No,
had
it's
it.
not.
Yeah, so one of the things that we really had an issue with this year, because we had a larger percentage of students that were virtual and Bulldog Academy, is we weren't able to get information to those families in a way that we thought was sufficient. And part of that was because most of our communications in the past have all been through sending the flyer home with the kids.
Right.
We couldn't do that this year. And we definitely hit a roadblock when it came to getting information to those families. And I think that that's something we should look into for next year, especially if there's any kind of, if any kind of COVID restrictions are still in place and families decide to stay virtual, or they liked Bulldog Academy and they're just going to keep doing it, but they miss being involved with the school. We do post a lot on Facebook, but because of the way Facebook algorithms work, there is no guarantee that you are going to see every single post. We ran into the issue where I noticed that if Amber or Kristen or Katya posted for Facebook, more people were able to see that post. But if I posted it, it wasn't as big. And I think it could
It's
be
just because you're not popular.
that's exactly what it. Yeah, and I think it's because Amber and Kristen and Katya have been in the area longer than I have. They've been involved in more community, and Facebook sees, oh, this person's involved in more things, and so they're gonna increase their. I mean, that's just a guess. I don't know, but I thought that was very interesting because I've only lived here for a few years, so.
So I realized that this would create an extra task for somebody, and most likely myself, just because it would be theoretically a secretarial duty. But what if, like, we have this website, we have an email address, we have these things. What if we had, like, a monthly newsletter that, like, announced the upcoming events, that reminded of things that needed to be done, that was sent out to every email address on our membership list?
Our membership list is only like 60 people, though.
Well, which this is another problem. Like, fill out the membership.
Right. And this year we did have that issue, and I don't know what it was in past
But it could
years.
also then, like, be posted on the website. Then, like, you know, somebody can be like, oh, I didn't get that email, but you can check the website and there's all that information.
And I like that idea, and I have posted every single thing that we've done on Facebook
Right.
on our website this year. So there's that. There's also the fact that not every parent or family uses social media. I have friends that she doesn't want to deal with Facebook drama, and so she doesn't have Facebook. And yes, she knows she could possibly be missing out on important information from her borough, but she thinks the borough needs to be providing information without the use of social media, even for older folks who don't have that. So it's definitely an accessibility issue. We definitely need people to sign up so we can actually gather their information next year.
I mean, the alternative is to send, like, to mail out flyers to Bulldog Academy students and things, but that requires, like, I mean, we don't have access to their contact information. So that would either require the secretaries to do an extra task, which, like, I really hate asking them to do extra work these days, or some kind of agreement from all of the parents in Bulldog Academy that their contact information can be shared with the PTO.
I also, like, can we do, you know how the specials teachers on, like, Class Dojo and Remind, you can get that.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm 99% sure we can't get on their Remind.
We can't get on their Remind. We could have our own Remind.
And we
classroom,
tried that, and it didn't
but
work.
Well, we
people
tried
don't
Van.
sign. People don't sign up. Yeah, but, like,
Remind is not free if you need more than 100, and you have to sign up by class for Remind, and then you have to. It's like limited. I think it's like 150 people, like, sign-ups per class. But all the specials teachers can push their information, their announcements to Remind and Class Dojo by grade or by classroom.
Right.
So why can't we just say, hey, can we have the PTO listed as just like Mrs. Books and Mrs. Bernard? I mean, like, can we just be kind of like a specials class where we can push that information? Because we don't need.
I'm pretty positive there's, like, reasons why we can't.
Have we asked?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have we asked, like, now? Because now we're seeing the need for that kind of communication, whereas in previous years.
Yeah, but I feel
it was
like the reason was that we are not actually affiliated with the school. We are our own organization, and this is where the problem comes in. Because the school holds liability for all of that. Like, we couldn't even, someone in our baseball program accidentally linked a Remind classroom to Northern Lehigh Elementary School or something. And Remind, like, yelled at them for it because the school removed it.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, they thought that, like, when they set up the classroom, they thought that they were just putting, like, what district you're in or something. Like, they didn't realize you were, the school does not allow any organization to link to them.
And it's also, like, you know, like, not using the right term, but a HIPAA thing. Like, you can't give out parents' information to
but
Right.
we wouldn't be.
I know that's what she's saying.
I get what she's saying.
Is correct. Like, you can't get
But
out.
but here's the problem. So like, if we had the Remind Classroom, even if it wasn't linked to the school, parents would still be asked to join ours. And if they don't join it, we can't add somebody.
Right.
So now we're back to the same problem, is that the parents who like are actively paying attention to the information being shared are actively joining it, and the ones that aren't getting the information. Like, it's been an ongoing issue for the past forever.
Yeah. Well, maybe
is how to get this information out to people. I felt like in previous years, when we were making more Connect Ed calls about the PTO things, that was much better. But this year, they've been very reluctant to use the Connect Ed calls for the PTO. So
maybe we could just coordinate that with them again. Like, just say, hey, you know what? We're done with COVID. We're done with all these special announcements about schools closing because of COVID and whatnot. Can we please get back on the priority list of information
I really feel
to
like
share?
they wouldn't have an issue as long as COVID.
Right.
If COVID is not an issue going into next school year, I feel there should be no reason why they can't do more emails and Connect Ed calls. There was just an overabundance of emails going out that if they would send out one of ours, theirs would get lost. And obviously, theirs are more important than ours.
Right. But
I mean,
it was just an unfortunate year for it.
Yeah.
I mean, this whole year for us was totally a wash, I feel. I mean, we didn't do nearly as much as we would have liked.
Yeah.
And I feel like...
Yeah, but I do feel like we were able to do a decent amount of stuff. I mean, I think that we worked well under the circumstances of figure it out as you go.
Yep. That brings me to something that we actually brought up in a family engagement. I brought it up in a family engagement meeting a couple months ago with Mr. Schneiderite, and that was partnering with the schools, specifically the K through 3 grades, to produce a family directory.
Yeah.
With the purpose of being allowing parents to get in contact with other parents in the community, based on who their kids play with at recess. And obviously we would need the principal's permission and the cooperation, and I feel like I put it in an email. That's why I can't find it. The parents we could include it if we get permission from the principals, like, yes, this is definitely something we can do. Mr. Schneiderite seemed like kind of open to the idea, especially since one of the other parents that was in the meeting spoke up saying that, she was coming from a private school and they had a family directory for the private school. So the idea would be to put this little booklet together by grade, or we could do one K through 2 book, like, I don't care.
Right.
But the idea is the information will only be included if the families give permission. And then the idea is to have the grade, the teacher's name, and then the student's first name and last initial only, alphabetical.
And whatever contact information they give.
And then the parent can give their own contact information. And it could be their name and their phone number, their name and their email address, their name and all 3. And it's strictly with the parent's permission. And if...
it's a paperwork that can go home the first week of school with everything else. And it's something that while we're already putting together our membership list, we simply put together the directory. And then it doesn't even have to be hard copies. It can just be posted on the PTO's website as the directory.
Yeah.
And anyone can, it's the same as, like, if you're having a birthday party for your kid, they want to invite their whole class, but they also want to invite Joey in so-and-so's class.
Yeah.
Well, who the heck is Joey?
Yeah. I would not be comfortable with an online directory, like a directory that is available online, especially if we're going to be sharing a parent's name and phone number. And we don't really have any. I think it would be too sophisticated to access it with a password. Like, I'd rather just do hard copies. But because I could have used that when my kids were started.
I could still use that.
Yeah, and the idea to only go to 3rd grade is because by 4th grade, students are probably capable of handing out their own parents' phone numbers.
You're so helpful and hopeful.
It's,
I mean,
it's a
I'm going to say, I
possibility.
have a fourth grader, and the level of capability is not as high as you think it would be.
No.
I mean, he knows my number,
Well, yeah,
but
you know, but the idea is maybe in fourth grade they don't need it so much, or we could extend it to the entire thing. Like, why not? We're gonna have the information anyway, so we may as well stick it all in a book.
well, and honestly, like, I kind of prefer, like, what starts to happen at the older kids level is like, oh, well, so-and-so gave me his own cell phone number. That's fantastic, but you're not a grown adult, and I would really like to speak to so-and-so's parents.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and if their information is in the directory,
Yeah.
then you can be like, hey, our kids want to hang out, and they have each other's phone numbers.
Yeah.
or, oh, so-and-so showed up at my house today. He's going to stay for lunch. Are you allowed to stay for lunch?
Yeah.
Like, do you have any dietary issue? I don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So it's just a way for parents would be able to communicate with each other.
Right.
I did email the principals about it.
I had it for.
I don't think we got a
No,
response.
they did not respond.
So I will follow up because I did say in there very clearly that if this is okay, if we can get this going, I would like to have these forms ready for meet the teacher night or to go
Yeah.
home in their homework folders on the first day of school.
right.
And then hopefully have everything in and have it out by the end of September.
Right.